Captain Jamal, you have a new mission, my commander said, chuckling and clearing his throat after demanding my presence. At ease, sir, I responded. The mission is not like any that you've gone on in the past, he said, trying to go into details. Okay, sir, I said, paying rapt attention to my commander. It's a special mission which is not to be carried out with levity hands. Actually, like I said, it is a big mission, and a big mission needs to be carried out by a capable individual. More reason why we speculated on you, he said. Actually, I received an order in the early hours of today, he said, observing my countenance. Seeing that I was paying rapt attention to all that he is saying, he cleared his throat again and continued in his tete-a-tete. Before I continue, I hope you also heard of the news of the demise of Mrs. Amina Waziri, the late president's wife who was allegedly killed by the Umoja squad, he asked. Yes, sir, I replied. Good, he counter-replied. Mrs. Amina Waziri was a very beautiful woman and the mother of the country who loved the nation a lot. But unfortunately, like they normally say, a good tree doesn't last in the forest. She was kidnapped and later killed by the Umoja squad, a very notorious banditry squad whose leader is Musa Kato, popularly known as Don Kato. The motion was revenge, of course. The banditry squad has been making waves for almost 2 decades. Some rumored that they have connections with top political giants and political controllers in the country. Reason why they haven't been apprehended yet, despite the menace and chaos they cause. Sensing a thwartism in the affairs of the military, the president, who after being prioritized by the citizens who demanded for a state of emergency to be set up, gave the order for the military chief to be changed. The former military leader was given a compulsory retirement and a new one emerged. This seems to get to the bandits. In the space of 2 days, more than 300 of their new recruits as well as 4 top officials, which the then leader, Dan Cato's brother Kofi, also got wiped out in the fire exchange battle between the military and the Umoja squad. Infuriated that their captain is taken down, the squad quickly made Dan Cato the new leader. Dan Cato was a more brutal gangster than Kofi, his brother. He finds pleasure in killing and spilling blood. Under his leadership, the newly appointed military boss was taken down despite the tight security attached to the chief of army staff quarters, maybe because he had a mole in military. People were still in bereavement concerning the death of the chief of army staff when the sudden news of the first lady's kidnap rent the air. No ransom was asked of by the kidnappers, the Umoja group. The presidential villa was in chaos, unfortunately. The president is not currently in the country. He had gone to Kenya for a world summit. The media quickly publicized it, and it didn't take long for the president to be aware in Kenya, where he was, that his wife had been kidnapped. He knew he had to do something. What came to his mind was to return back to the country. He had to save his woman. But how? He was almost in Ghana, his country, when another news sparked the social media space. It was the news of the president's wife's death. She was killed in the most gruesome manner ever. The President Adebayo, was shattered and inconsolable seeing the body of his wife being cut into pieces like that of a cow butchered in a slaughter slab. Entering his country, he was welcomed back, but it was low-key by the Minister of Aviation and Information. He went to the presidential villa. The once vibrant president now was a shadow of himself. He had to take a break when Amina's death was taking a toll on him. His deputy instantly filled into the acting president post. The president was accompanied to the airport alongside his aides and ADC. He stayed there for more than 3 weeks. It was while he was abroad on his vacation that he met her, a rare gem, epitome of beauty. Her name was Zainab. She was from Kenya, but lived in South Africa where they met. Though they exchanged contacts and for 2 weeks they were vigorously chatting. Of course, the president presented himself like a nobody to her. They fell in love with each other. The president opened up to her who he really is when his vacation was over, but promised to invite her over to his country soon. Captain Akin, due to several successful jobs you've done in the military in the past. That's the reason why we're nominating you and also recommended you to the president to be the special bodyguard of the new First Lady who will be arriving tomorrow to the country, my commander said to me. By tomorrow, you'll take off to the airport, where you'll go and pick Miss Zainab, your new boss, who'll be the new First Lady. Your duty is to protect her with your life. Yours can be lost, but hers must be protected at all cost. Have I made myself clear? The commander asked, which I replied yes to. R.I.P. to the late First Lady, Commander said. You must take off very early tomorrow morning. All right, sir, I'll do just that, I said. Permission to fall out, sir, I said. Granted, he replied, and I walked out. Another mission, I smirked, heading outside happily. Of course, I have always been so happy anytime I am given a new mission. I've protected a lot of high-profile individuals in the past, and I know I must carry out this with my expertise in full force. I deserve no pity. I am the one that decided to go into military, so whatever comes out from it, I must bear my cross, I thought. Early the following day, I had left my home. Being a captain gave me the privilege of not sleeping in the barracks, unlike the junior officers. My mother was living with me in the apartment I rented. I decided to keep her with me when my father's death drastically affected her health. She and my elder sister used to live together before at our hometown, Ibadan, a remote town in Oyo State, but it all changed when my sister got married, relocating with her husband to Abuja, as her husband was from the northern part of the country. I opened a mini provision shop for her in front of my house with which she whiles away time. Of course, I informed her of the new mission I've just been bestowed with the previous day. She prayed for me and wished me well. I don't normally hide anything from her. I was literally a mommy's boy. I had great affinity for two things, my mom and the military. The following day, I was already awake by 4 a.m. I was packing my stuffs, my guns, military mini knife, and my bulletproof vest, which I wore on my military top immediately after bath. My schedule for the day was so intense, I'll be meeting with the driver, who will be driving me to the airport to pick up the First Lady. The driver was also recommended by the security advisor to the president. After I was done by now, it was already few minutes to 6 in the morning. I walked to my mom's room to announce my departure. My dear, go well. The enemies won't overpower you, my mom prayed, and I answered, Amen. I'll be on my way now, Mom. If you need anything, just take my ATM card. It's on the parlor center table, I said, after which I changed direction to the door. No more delay, I thought. I had almost got to the door when Mom's paranoid voice halted my steps. Samuel, Jamal, my dear, she said. I looked back at her. She was the only one who calls me Samuel. You called me Mom, I said, squatting before her. Do you need anything? I asked. Yes, she replied. What's it, Mom? I asked. Please be careful. Tread with caution, she said. I will, Mom, I said, kissing her forehead. I'm gone, Mom, I said, retreating outside. All right, my dear. Go well. I could hear her voice faintly, but I was already out of sight. By now, the time was 6:39 a.m. I placed a call across to the driver, and he told me he's already in my area. About 10 minutes later, I saw him. Of course, he was a known dude. We exchanged pleasantries for a while before I switched back to my introvert nature. I texted my commander to inform him I've taken off already. It was a means of utmost respect. The drive to the airport was so damn silent and boring. Everywhere was silent like Moses' tomb. Of course, I was not bored. My earbuds were tightly fixed to both my ears. I was listening to the collection of my favorite singer, Adekunle Gold, popularly known as AG. I was on the verge of listening to Sinner by AG when the driver announced we've arrived at our destination, the airport. All right, I said, hopping down from the car. It wasn't long before I found her. After locating Miss Zainab Waziri, I showed her my military ID. You're the one asked to come pick me up? She asked. Yes, ma'am, I replied. I also got to know that you're my private bodyguard, she said, and I nodded in the positive. Good, she said. I accompanied her to the already waiting car. I and her sat at the back. The journey was silent as usual. She was pressing her phone, and I was pressing mine, still listening to AG's collection. After an hour of driving, it finally happened. It was the driver that hinted to me. We're under attack, Captain, he said. Looking more closely, I found out it was the handiwork of the Umoja squad. I just smiled hysterically. And I've decided not to kill anyone today, I smiled. Just calm down, I said, calming both the driver and the tensed First Lady. Chill, guys, the car is bulletproof. It will slow them down before they pull any stunt. Seems the bandits saw the car was bulletproofed as no one came out of it. They continued shooting sporadically. This is shit, Jamal smirked. He has to do something. Protecting the First Lady was his allegiance. The car being bulletproofed really helped, but it seems it won't be for long. When the terrorists saw that they didn't make any success, as no one came out of the car, They targeted the tires, all four at once. It all deflated, and the bandits continued shooting sporadically. "Stay here, ma'am," Jamal said to the already scared Zainab. "Lock the car from the inside," he ordered the driver. "Don't open if I don't give the order," he said, after which he skillfully got out, using the car as a shield while he unleashed fire on the daredevils. Getting outside the car, he didn't take long before he took out more than 14 of the terrorists. 2 more, and he killed them all. He also sustained an injury in his arm, though. Though the bandits tried but they failed, they all dropped dead. "We need to get the First Lady to the presidential villa," Jamal said. "But how do we accomplish that with the car whose tire is already deflated?" the driver asked. "We literally can't and won't find a vulcanizer here," he said. "I had already called for backup," Jamal said. He was still talking when 2 cars, a Toyota Prado Jeep and a Land Cruiser limousine tinted glassed vehicle, which also was bulletproofed, arrived amidst them. The First Lady, Jamal, and the driver entered into the bulletproofed Land Cruiser limousine, while the guy that drove the limousine went to join the guys in the Prado. The Prado was going in the front, while the First Lady's convoy followed with Jamal elegantly at alert. Getting the First Lady to the presidential villa and to the already tense president was Jamal's main aim now. He knew the president will have gotten a hint about the earlier attack. He wasn't surprised because the president was the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. He's more or less like the controller general of the military, and so he's going to have his own personal intel and spies, or even spies, and Jamal was sure they will have got their job done anyways. He was still in the car with Miss Zainab and the driver, but his mind had already traveled 1,000 miles. He hasn't made any mistake of any sort since he joined the military 8 years and 4 months back, and he knew he has to double his effort, if not even triple, now that it's a top case. He'll be prosecuted if anything goes wrong with the wife of the first citizen of the country. He was still very much in thought when this phone rang. Checking the caller ID, he saw Commander showing clearly on the phone. He quickly picked it. "How are you doing, my boy?" he asked from the other end. "Is the situation under control? Because I received the call of the president not quite long." What he said was that he received intel that you guys are in danger, but I assured him of your expertise and training to protect the First Lady at all cost. He said he was calling the First Lady's number. It was ringing but wasn't picked. "Yes, sir, regarding the phone, I am the one that told her to put it in silent mode in order not to alert the terrorists earlier, but I will tell her to put it in the normal mode and place a call across to the president now." "So about the attack, hope no casualties?" my commander asked. "We were truly attacked, sir. In fact, as a matter of fact, they are close to 18 in number, but they all are down presently," Jamal said. "Well, I trust you. Let me call him back. I mean the president, and assure him that you guys are safe and are on your way to the presidential villa," he said, after which he put an end to the call. "I told Miss Zainab to put her phone in the outdoor mode and place a call to the already agitated president. She brought out the phone and called as instructed. They even talked at length, after which the call got aborted. All this while I was at alert because one of the military rules is that never think a war is solved until you are sure it is. This literally implies that enemies could still be lying ahead. We were almost close to the presidential villa, about 40 minutes to the place when another attack happened. They were masked men, but I need no one to tell me they were members of the Umoja squad. What's all this, for crying out loud? The First Lady, Zainab, who couldn't take it any longer, busted into a hot round of tears. Seems I made a notable mistake by coming to this country, despite everything they were saying negatively about this country on the news regarding insecurity and other menaces. If only I had known, maybe I should have stayed back in my country, she heaved. I just laughed inwardly. This woman doesn't know what's up yet, I soliloquized. African terrorists are so stubborn, they can't be likened to those abroad, I gesticulated. But come to think of it, I don't think this is just mere coincidence any longer. How were the terrorists knowing about their movement? After thinking about it thoroughly, he reached a conclusion and resolution. Mole! He smiled. Definitely someone is selling them out. It wasn't a thing of surprise to him because it is a regular thing in the military and in a terrorist camp. I swear with my life, I will deal with the betrayer after this mission. I'll search for him, fish him, and kill whoever it is, he soliloquized. He knew he had to be swift as the car in front of them is already getting attacked. Of course, he knew it's only a matter of time before they get to them in their limousine bulletproof car. He looked at the First Lady in pity. He doesn't know what is often wrong with those terrorists and bandits. Why will someone look at this beautiful and gorgeous lady, and the next thing that will come to the person's mind is killing and hurting someone beautiful as this? He knew he had to come up with any wit he can at the moment to protect the life of the innocent lady, after which he snuck out of the car skillfully as they were trained in the military world. After he got out of the car, he started shooting sporadically at the daredevils. "You guys are done for today," Jamal said, screaming on top of his voice like a madman. He continued shooting at them even when they were literally down as a result of the gunshots, which were too excessive for them to take. Another 12 of the attackers are down lying in the pool of their own blood, while Jamal intentionally kept one of them alive to probe him. "Who sent you people? Where's Dan Cato?" He probed as he continued shooting around radically, even when those he was shooting at were all already dead. He was shooting and didn't stop shooting because he knew there could still be anybody around out of those terrorists waiting for the right moment before he strikes. Of course, he wasn't shooting in one direction. He was directing the gunshots to several directions at once, so anybody who was trying to come out from any corner will be beaten by the effect of the gunshot. This style of shooting was something he specially learned from one of his retired lieutenant colonel bosses. After trying to get information from one of the terrorists he kept alive, which at the end of the day proved abortive, he was infuriated and mad with rage. "Kunat samanin za kuiya samun wani abudaga gareni, kukuma kunat samanin ni daniskani, tolalai ni kuzama may bandaria alokasan." The guy said, laughing wickedly. What the guy said in Hausa was that, "Do you think you can get anything out of me, or do you think I'm a snitch?" Well, if that is what you are thinking, then you must be a funny dude. Dan Cato is uncatchable. His mode of operation is out of this world. "Even if you manage to kill me, that won't stop the already planned things we have in motion," the guy said, and Jamal angrily burst his head with a gunshot, piercing into his skull. "Bastard," he said beneath his breath. When he saw that the attack was down already, he went back to the car. "Fear not, ma'am," he said to Zainab after he got to the car. "I'll protect you with my life, even if I have to lose mine. Yours won't be lost, I promise you, as that is the job I am employed for," he said. The First Lady Zainab couldn't contain the happiness she felt. At one point, she had thought she's going to lose her life, as the bullets were coming too loudly to her hearing earlier. She mustered the courage, after which she hugged Jamal so tightly, her arms pressing on Jamal's chest. "Thank you," she sniffed. In total, the hug lasted for more than 2 minutes. This Jamal guy is indeed so wonderful and thrilling to be with. I, for one reason, felt really safe with him. When I saw how we were being attacked earlier, my heart had almost popped out of my body and my eyes out of their socket. That's the reason for the hug earlier. It means thank you. For once, I had zeroed my mind from survival. I had typed an RIP for myself, particularly in my mind, as it was clear and obvious that I was the target, of course, to get to Adebayo. I heaved. But truth be told, Jamal is wonderful. He single-handedly took out more than 30 men, more than 14 in the first encounter, then about another 15 again. He is a powerful man, more powerful than Dwayne Johnson. I soliloquized, gesticulating. Nigerian people won't know his value had it been he was in South Africa as a soldier, and this skilled, he no doubt will be earning a lot. I was so deep in thought that I didn't know someone had been trying to get my attention, not until I was tapped. "Ma'am, we've reached the State House," Jamal said politely after he had patted me. "Ooh, thank you." I mounted an appreciation note. Looking around, everywhere was magnificent and glittering. Even the flowers were likened to those in the garden of Queen Amina. Much respect to her and her grave, I soliloquized. Whoever said Nigeria was not beautiful or attractive enough definitely did not know what he or she is saying. Or maybe the person is high on drugs, I soliloquized. I'm just saying the reason why they are referring to them as the Giant of Africa. I smiled, filled with satisfaction over what I saw. I was warmly welcomed by Adebayo's men, about 2 of them. "The president will be with you shortly, ma'am. He's in a meeting," they said, thrilled. "Please follow me." One of them, who was pot-bellied like a woman pregnant of 6 months, beckoned to me, as the other left us maybe to go coordinate one thing or the other, I thought. I was hesitant at first to the dude that called me. I looked to my back and saw Jamal nodded to me to follow him. I heaved and followed him. Jamal also followed us behind, mainly me. "You're her new bodyguard?" the man asked Jamal. "Yes, sir, I am," replied Jamal. "Well, from your person, it seems you'll be a proud individual," said the man. "So sorry if that is how you feel about me, sir. But to the best of my knowledge and to the best of how I knew myself, I am not proud nor I arrogant," said Jamal. Then prove it," said the man. "How, sir?" Jamal asked. Meanwhile, Miss Zainab all along was looking at both men, from the man clad in an agbada attire to Jamal whose military uniforms fitted him perfectly. She literally felt interested in the conversation some way. "So you don't know how to prove me wrong?" the man asked. "At all, sir, I don't. I'm only a soldier, not a seer," replied Jamal bluntly. So rude, exactly the way he was described, the man thought. "Salute me," the man said almost in an order tone. "That way I will be able to deduce if I'm the one wrong or you." Jamal just smiled slightly before his face hardened again. Seems he was not used to laughing, Zainab thought. "I can't salute you, sir," replied Jamal. "Baba told you to salute. You they do like we're one of the men following the man behind taunted. "Obviously, this one must be a tout. I mustn't be seen discussing or trading words with people like this," Jamal thought. "If I give him just one blow, he will die," Jamal thought, smirking. "Please, let's go, ma'am," he instantly said to Zainab. "Don't tell me you're walking out on me," asked the man in awe. "I told you to salute me, and you are proving stubborn. Do you even know who I am?" "Do you have an idea who I am in this country?" the man asked. "I am Senator Abbas, the one and only," the man said. "Of course I know you, sir. You are Senator Abbas Yassir, the senator representing Demir State," replied Jamal. "You know? So you know who I am, and you couldn't salute me? Such impudence, arrogance, and audacity. Point of correction, sir. I really don't care who you are, or the position you hold in the public space. I literally, truly don't give a fuck. I can only salute few people: my commander, my superiors in the military, the chief of army staff, and lastly the president, being the commander of the armed forces as well as the commander of the Order of the Niger. In fact, I can't salute the vice president, talk less of any senator or House representative member," replied Jamal bluntly. "Baba, Abi make we shack this one brain knee," the hoodlum following the senator said. "How on earth will a hoodlum be given passage to the presidential villa in the first place?" Jamal thought, shaking his head. "No, don't try it. Leave him. I'll deal with him. I'll literally report him to his superiors," said the senator. "Let's go, ma'am," said Jamal to Zainab. They were about to take the next steps when Zainab sighted the president from afar. "OMG, Adebayo, my darling," she said, running to the president in a frenzy hug. The president was not alone. With him was the chief of army staff, Brigadier General Wada, and Jamal's commander. As Jamal saw them, he instantly saluted till the general and his commander reached where he was. Zainab, still clad tightly to the president's arm, narrated the day's ordeal and how Jamal had saved her life from death, not once but twice. The general, getting to where Jamal was, saluted too. Same thing the commander, and Jamal dropped his hand after. "Abbas, so how was it?" the president asked. "He's indeed like you all said. He's a fearless and gallant soldier. We can trust him with the First Lady," the senator said. "Baby, what is he saying?" Zainab, who was as confused as Jamal, was asked. "Well, babe, Jamal saving you wasn't enough to test him and just accept that he is the best man for this job of protecting you. Everything that transpired between him and the senator earlier was all charade," the president said. "A charade?" asked the First Lady. "Yes, a charade, baby," replied the president. "Even though I had discussed with the chief of army staff, who said he was recommended by his own junior officer, who was Jamal's commander. We were at a corner watching how Abbas and his boy were taunting him. We had thought that he will salute Abbas, but he seems to know better, as that's a crime in the military, a heinous one at that, to salute someone who's not in the system. He seems to scale through that. More reason why we further in the test. This person you are seeing here," the president said, pointing at the guy who was talking of whacking earlier, "he's one of my special advisors. His main assignment is to infuriate and anger Jamal so that he will be able to misbehave, but unfortunately, he passed in that area too." So automatically he is qualified to be your personal bodyguard, said the president. Of course, Akin wasn't expecting that, but he wasn't caught off guard too. He knew anything could happen in the military. He was adept, he thought. Thank you, young man, Zainab explained of how you saved her life, risking yours. Thank you, the president said. Chun, sir, Jamal saluted. I was only doing my work, sir. My assignment is to protect the First Lady everywhere she goes. That could warrant danger. My life could be lost, but hers must be saved, he said. You are truly a good security official, and you deserve a compensation. Chief, please forward this guy's name to me. He has to be promoted, said the president, after which he entered the presidential villa hand in hand with his woman, Zainab. I've missed you. I can't wait to feel you tonight, said the president almost in a whisper to the First Lady, who just smiled slightly. I've missed you and your touch too, said Zainab. Then let us go in and settle our differences, said the president. And the next minute, they both had dragged themselves to the president's personal room. If you want part 2, this video needs at least 3,000 likes. Drop a comment and let me know. Do you want to see what happens next?